My name is UFUOMA. I am the General Manager of Haven Homes. And Haven Homes is a real estate development company. We have been in existence for over 13 years now. We're mostly known for our Richmond Gate estates, which is Richmond Gate 1, 2 and 3 estate, which is predominantly known as one of the safest estates in Lagos. One key thing about us is that we're the pioneers of contemporary style homes in Nigeria. So yeah, that's about it.
And how's business been since the beginning of the year? By all the challenges that the economy is.
Okay, so 2020 has been a very interesting year, as we know, and I would like to talk about it in three different folds.
Okay.
The three different folds I'm talking about it in the area of before the COVID, during the COVID, and after the COVID. Before the COVID, we were looking at before the lockdown. You know, we were thinking mostly about the safety of our staff, the safety of our clients. And the reason is because we felt that that's primary, that's most important, you know. So we tried to make sure that people who used to come by bus stayed at home, and people who basically even our clients who we shut down our showroom and the operations of what's going on in the company, simply because we just wanted to focus on safety. And then the second aspect I'm going to talk about is, you know, during the lockdown, our staff, we continued paying our staff salaries just to make sure that the welfare of them is still being intact, rather than just saying, oh, you know, you're at home, or just stay at home and be there. You know, we tried to make sure the welfare, and then also we realized that the desperation in the land was so much, so we decided to give our community. We were able to feed over about 3,000 people. You know, we went once, we went twice, because it was just a lot. People were hungry, people's welfare was being affected, so we decided to give back to people. And then after the lockdown, we did a survivor first approach. And our survivor first approach was that we decided that, you know what, all new projects we're going to stop now. So we're going to focus on the projects that are existing and make sure we finish. Clients who couldn't pay with the normal payment terms, we worked out in very favorable payment terms for them, and we're able to achieve achieve success of the projects, as well as clients handover. We're able to achieve both of them.
Okay. And so now that things are easing, what's the focus?
Okay, so now things are easing. We're happy because we've decided to go back to sites, because we recently launched our Richmond Pro Estate, which is
Richmond Crown.
Richmond Pro.
Okay.
Richmond Pro Estate. So you know we have Richmond Gate Estate 1, 2 and 3.
Okay.
So now we have an estate called Richmond Pro Estate.
Okay.
And what is interesting about Richmond Pro Estate, in fact, I can tell you that the phase 1, because we first of all started with a new project, phase 1, you know, we sold out on phase 1, so we're approaching phase 2 project now because demand is very high. And I know you will say surprisingly, because I mean, this year has been very interesting. But yes, Richmond Pro, what's interesting about Richmond Pro Estate is that we have the 2 bedrooms and the 3 bedrooms on 2 floors. So people can now buy the home at the price of the flats, an ordinary flat. So yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. Talking about the demand for homes, and what would you say explains that, considering the fact that initially at the beginning of the year, everyone was grappling with survival, what to eat and all that. What triggered the demand for homes and all?
I will talk about one aspect, you know, because one thing that has risen up for us is the demand for homes from people who are international. So a lot of people who are international are, I would say partly so because of the devaluation of Naira. So a lot of people internationally are trying to acquire property in our home. So a large percentage of people that have bought from us in the last couple of weeks to months are from abroad. But regardless of that, even people that are in Nigeria, because we're able to work out very favorable payment terms, and it's always worked for us like that. So people are still buying regardless of that. Yeah.
Talking about the history of the Richmond Estate phases and all that, how many years has it taken us to move from phase 1 to 2?
Okay, so I would say that because Richmond Gate Estate is very dynamic, because we didn't initially start it as an estate per se, so it grew organically. So I would say it took us about 5 years to grew from Richmond 1 to Richmond 2 to Richmond 3, maybe 5, 6 years. Yeah.
Okay. If you look at the macro economic situation, talking about the real estate specifically now, what would you say, at what stage are we now, and in which direction are we looking at in terms of development?
Okay, so in terms of development, I would say, like in Nigeria as a whole, right?
Yes.
So in terms of development, I think where we are is we can see that the luxury arm is kind of like really growing. People are now, their mindsets are now changing. People's thinking towards buying a property is changing. People's attitude towards buying is changing. And I'll say that because now someone will walk into the property and is looking for straight walls, straight lines. Gonna do this, people didn't even understand all that. But now people's mindset towards buying, purchase decision is changing really. So that's actually where the mindset is on people right now. Yeah.
So what also explains that people are now familiar with the terms you mentioned and all that.
Yes.
So you don't have to do too much to convince them to. Well, what do you say explains all of that?
Okay, so for us as a company, it's track record that has gotten us to this level, you know. So I really can't speak for others, but right now for us as track record, people want to buy from us because we've been able to prove to them that we deliver. I mean, one of our strong strengths is delivery, and we focus on making sure that our clients get what they need. And then obviously exceeding clients' expectations, you know, making sure that what they saw is they're getting more than what they saw. So that's, you know, another area that, you know, we've been able to get to.
Let's talk about Heaven's Home.
Yeah.
What stands it out from other real estate companies?
Haven Homes. First of all, I'd like to say we are affordable luxury developers, and you know, you see people say luxury, affordable, so it's just like what I said earlier. When clients buy, they exceed their expectations, you know, because we focus mainly on quality. And so when they come in, they are amazed by what they get at the end of the day. So, and obviously because of our track record as well. Okay,
so like you said, how do you relate the affordable aspect and the luxury aspect? Because both are supposed to be.
So you see, so you come into a home like this, and you are buying. Okay, so you go to VI. VI is quite pricey, right? Yeah. And you come to you can still buy the quality of what you're getting, or even better in Lekki, but at a more cheaper price. So it's just like what I said earlier, it's exceeding the expectations of people who are buying. So you're doing more than what, you know, they're paying for at, you know, at affordable price.
Then are you only around Lekki, or do you do?
Right now we are in the Keja GRA, and then we're in Lekki as well. We plan to expand more as the opportunity presents itself.
And then, if you were to advise government on what they can do to make business easy for you, what are the areas that you think?
Okay, for us as a company, yes, I would say that, you know, I believe government is doing a lot to improve the approval process. Okay. You know, but I would say that a lot more work still needs to be done in making sure that, you know, we get our approvals on time, making sure that the process is as seamless as possible. So yes, I would say one of the difficult areas that we get approvals, you know, documentation as well. You know, making sure that the consents come out on time so that we're able to, you know, transit business properly.
Okay. So how did you also end up in real estate?
So interesting, because I've been in Haven Homes for almost 9 years, and
How many years?
Haven Homes 13 years. So I'm going to 14 now, and I'm going to 10 as well. So while I was growing up, my dad used to acquire a lot of properties, just acquire. In fact, he still does have property, although he's late now, but he used to acquire a lot of properties. I just found that space very interesting. So when I got into Lagos after I finished my university, Communal University.
Okay.
So, and I finished from school. The first company I started with was an oil and gas company, but then somehow there was a shift, and I started working in a real estate company, and then I'm here. So yeah, but what really brought my interest was why my dad kept acquiring property. What's this thing that was interesting? And he wasn't really into development per se, although he built them, but not, you know, for commercial purposes. But he it sparked my interest basically.
So talking about real estate as a business, or real estate as an opportunity, what advice would you give Nigerians who are like watching you and listening to you in terms of what they can do with real estate?
Okay, so because I'm young, one of the people within my age range, they're not really thinking about real estate. They're not even budgeting, but they're making a whole lot of money. So you see, I speak with a couple of friends who are maybe international, and I'm like, use your money to invest in real estate. Why don't you do that? I realized that it's until I start the conversation they start thinking that way. So, and then I start the conversation, and they buy their first home and they're so happy. So my advice to anybody who is listening to me today is that, whether you're young, as long as you're in your prime and you're able to afford something, you can do it. Especially with developers like us who do instrumental payments, you can do it. In 24 months, you can do it. So just key into any development that you can get to, no matter how small it is, even if it's land, even if it's, buying a full finished property, which I will advise for. I mean, that's just the best way to go because investment is key.
Okay. So right now, the Richmond Pro Estate is up for sale. So what's the process? Anybody who's interested, what should they do?
Okay, so anybody who's interested should either go to our website, www.thehavenhomes.com, and call the numbers there, or send us an email, or send us a message that you want us to contact you on WhatsApp, any of that platforms, and we'll be able to interact with you and give you feedback. The first point of contact is basically tell you everything about the project. It's going to be a very seamless process, and it's pretty much very easy.